So I made efforts to see that when I come, I hope that I will be able to be allowed to make it possible for me to come over here and do some things that are very close to my heart. But as I said, biological psychiatry is the greatest among them. We won't get into stories about how we going to get to going on, but this center is on the map of psychiatry from the point of view of all things, among other things, biological psychiatry. A number of you have been taking their topics, but a number who have not taken their topics. And one of them has gone in the way of biology, psychosocial, all those type of things. We are so going to forget that we are scientists, we are psychiatrists. We may then run into danger of becoming a social science. That's what psychiatry in Nigeria is threatening to become. We have to stay along margin. Who are the Yorubas here? No, God forbid that. We are science. Anyway, as proof of that, my commitment to biological psychiatry, which was founded here, I took time to get this book for you. You can see that nobody has written. It's brand new for you. So I've got this book as my donation to sponsor biological psychiatry in Northern Nigeria. Yes. The Society for Biological Psychiatry in Nigeria. Okay, thank you. Good. I'm hoping that it's so big because it's comprehensive. Staff and students and everybody will read from it and know, because this is an area that we don't have training. Genomic psychiatry, the gene, and what goes with it. So I'm happy to do that. In the course of my... That's where I got everything that I have in life. And now I'm remaining doing some little work with it. And I picked up holiday. Part of it now, I'm proud to be able to talk to you about things that are very important to me, and that is to contribute to your training in psychiatry, contribute to making you a better doctor, a better psychiatrist for Nigeria. So, and secondly, your convenience is available, so they use it. Whereas even the cell phone we have, all of us, you don't just want to pick a cell phone in the market. You look, you see the one you want, what is it going to do for you, and all that. So the objective of this presentation is to make sure that when you do your questionnaire for your project, or even for clinical practice, when you give patients to fill questionnaires before they come to see you, that you are giving some thought to it, and that is going to be useful to go through the research you are doing. In short, my idea is to enhance more of this
problem. However, using anxiety and depression, there is much more than that. What if an individual that has schizophrenia? So it's much more than that. So when we use the screening instrument, we can go ahead to use other diagnostic instruments like the mini.
Okay, wait, because you are leading us. What I'm trying to say is that when you use a screening instrument, you cannot say the prevalence rate of anxiety. You can only say what? Yes. What can you say? Yes. No. You can say what? Symptoms. No. You can say probable prevalence. That word is a headache in part 2 exams. And I don't know why people are being asked to come back 6 months' time. You know? Because you missed it. When you use a screening instrument, you can only have probable prevalence rate. It's only when you use a diagnostic instrument that you have a what? A prevalence rate. Please get that into your system. Okay? Can somebody repeat what I said? And you'll be surprised I'm asking you to repeat that, isn't it? Because it's continually a problem in the exams, continually. So at least if the Prof of residency have got it, then they will be educated. Okay. And then it means that because you are going to be consultant the next time, by the grace of God, isn't it? So it means those who are coming after you won't be repeating. So can you repeat what I said?
So you just told us that when we use the screening instruments, that what we get is improbable prevalence rate, for example. But we need to use a diagnostic instrument to be able to say that there is a prevalence rate.
As elementary as that statement appears to be, it's important. Please, as you go.
Yes.
So actually, as told us, we have screening, we have diagnostic, we have skills training for the
Then we can also have these rating skills that are used by either as a clinician, that is the hospital setting, or it can be used purely by a researcher. So we can have, that's another classification. We can also have rating skills that can either be used in primary care setting, secondary care setting, or tertiary care settings.
Good. Please sit down, thank you. What I'm trying to tell you is that she's correct. But you know, there are always various ways of classifying anything, isn't that so? And each system of classification simply gives you more information. And it's probably not better than the other. Huh? So the system of classification I'm going to give you is what I think is integrated. Huh? Not split into many parts. So let's go. We have the clinical psychiatric rating scales, the ones that are diagnostic. We start with those ones. Now, these two, please, these diagnostic scales are into two parts. The one part are what? Structured, and the other part are what? What's the difference? Does anybody know the difference between the structured and semi-structured? Does anybody know? Yes, please.
The structured instruments have strict instructions.
Yes.
That must be followed.
Yes.
And questions must be asked in the way.
Everything is going to be asked.
Yes.
Whereas the semi-structured,
The semi-structured, the questions
You
are
can
there.
skip.
Yes.
and go. So now, you've got it. Now, who uses structured instruments? Who?
People that are not trained.
Lay person. At least here you are brilliant. What's your name?
I have to get
I am really a brilliant girl. Because somewhere people didn't know this. So, what is the implication? The implication is that you come for a type 2 exam, you say you use CD, which is okay. But we ask you, why are you using CD now? CD is a structured instrument. It's meant for lay persons who don't know when you've asked enough questions to screen out anxiety. And so, because you don't need to ask 10 questions to know that somebody has anxiety if you are trained in psychiatry. You only need 1 or 2, and if they are not there, you move on. Okay? So, a structured instrument is like, what's it? I tell us, what's CD?
the composite international diagnostic internet.
Good. I'm really talking to the class myself, so I'm happy to hear. So CD is structured. What of semi-structured? Can you give us an example? Because they're born. Yeah? Mini. Do you know how the mini? That in the practical session I teach you, I have the mini here. Do you have? Do you have? Actually, you can get it from the internet too. But it's all here. I've made copies for you. Mini is here. I have other copies. So in the practical session, we'll sit down and I'll tell you something. So you can use it, okay? Okay. We won't talk about it. So mini is an example of a semi-structure. And what's the meaning of mini? I have to rely on you now because I don't know what's it, a minuscule form of the bigger ones. Like what? Like what? Do you know the meaning of SCAN? Schedule for Clinical Assessment in Neuropsychiatry. It's actually now called PSC 10. When I was a resident, like it was PSC 8 and then PSC 9. Huh? So PSC 9, then they came to PSC 10 as it is now. Okay. So it's actually PSC 10 now. Then the one for ESL. Huh? Okay. Clinical assessment for ESL. So whereas you have these ones, okay? Once you go back to India, we've gone far. We should get that information. Now, our lady Asia was telling us about screening instruments. Huh? So, the screening instruments, before now, we had lengthy questionnaires to screen, not screen really, to quantify or whatever for depression. Psychologists, most specialists. Did they come here?
They come there.
Okay, you have what we call, like depression, you have best depression inventory, 21 items, you score up to a point, then you're likely to have. The GHQ Asia, remember? The GHQ, it has 12 items, 30, 28 items. Then you have the heart scale, hospital anxiety and depression scale, 7 items for depression, 7 items for anxiety. So that's it. Now, these instruments, we don't like them anymore. Why? Because we have new ones. What is the advantage of these new ones? So when you want to use a screening instrument, the GHQ as highly popular and useful as it is. Okay? We now prefer what we call a diagnostic criteria specific instrument. An instrument. So why do you want to use 30 items of a questionnaire when you can use 9 items to do the same job? Depression is described as having 9 items, isn't that so? So you get the screening instrument that goes for those items. Now that's more efficient, isn't it? Okay. So we now have those, the PHQ systems, and also the ones for anxiety, and the ones for somatization, that's PHQ system. We are going to talk about the pros and cons of these things. So within that, you now have what you call the quantitative scale. This is just my own classification. You know, they can also act as screening, but it's better we use them as quantitative. That is, to quantify the severity of, let's say, depression or anxiety. So this mostly for people doing drug studies. For instance, the most commonly used instrument for studying depression for people who are doing drugs, who are, following people up when you're giving them some drug trials, is the Hamilton depression rating scale. You also have the anxiety scale, which is clinician rated. Okay? It is not, you are not going to apply Hamilton scale by giving the patient therapy. No. You are going to be doing it. But the other ones like BDI can be rated by the patient and also the PHQ. So there you are for depression, for anxiety. Okay? So it's better, don't use these as screening instruments. You use them as what? Quantification. That is, you are following up people to know the amount of depression, anxiety they have. But for severe mental disorders, that is psychosis and co. Now I have those other ones now. Do you know about the brief psychiatric rating scale? Have you heard about it? Okay, the brief psychiatric rating scale. Overall and go on. Now you have the PANS. Did you know about that? Huh? Okay, I didn't add one scale. Positive and negative syndrome scale. And also Andreassen's. Did you know about Andreassen's scales? Scale for assessment of negative symptoms. and scale for assessment of positive symptoms, all by my psychiatrist. Have you heard about it? Huh? You can actually get the picture of Google. I have it. I have copies here. Then you have CGI. Who knows the meaning of CGI? I agree with it. Good. What does it do?
It's the clinician's
Another clinician impression. Isn't that so? Incidentally, the signs and SAPs and PANS are also clinician rated. These are for quantifying psychosis. Huh? You don't give them to patients to start with. I'll give you the ones that have anchors. What do you mean by anchors? When you say a questionnaire has anchors, do you know what we mean? Eh? Okay, what you mean is that, usually you tell people, okay, rate yourself, this problem you are having, is it mild, moderate, or severe? Now, that's a very subjective judgment, isn't it? You can say mild, and I say moderate. I might even say severe. But an anchor, a questionnaire that has anchor means it tells you, look, when we say mild, this is what we mean. 1, 2, 3, 4 must be present or absent. You see? So it's better you use a quantification scale that has what? Anchors, that tells you. Now, what's the advantage of that? Do you know? What's the advantage of having an anchor? You will see. You will see.
The advantage of having an anchor is that you'll be able to, it's very objective. In the sense that what is mild for everybody.
Good is for reliability. Do you know the difference between reliability and validity?
Yes.
Now, there's problem. But you tell us. What's the meaning of reliability? What's the meaning of validity?
Well, reliability is getting a uniform results for tests that are done by different people to get results that are very related, uniform, consistent result. That's reliability. While validity is about getting a result that is
speaking grammar, isn't that so? That is talking science. If you were talking to journalists, you'd be okay. But for scientists, it is not there. So he has an idea, but you haven't used the buzzword for what do you mean by reliability. There is a buzzword. Once you say it, finish, everybody goes away. What's the buzzword? Does anybody know? Repeatability. That's the essence of it. Repeat is not consistency is all there. Please see that. But the idea of reliability is what? Can it be repeated in this occasion between persons and all sorts of ways? So what are the ways of repeatability? Tell us. Do you know in what circumstances may you need to repeat a test instrument to show that is you repeat it across time, isn't it? Yes. So that's test. Test. You repeat it between or among individuals. That is called what? Inter-rater reliability, isn't it? So those are the things you must take into mind. Is it repeatable across time? You do it today. Another normal temperature and pressure, you know what I mean by that? You do it the next time, does it stay same? And then you repeat it between individuals or in a group, which you have to do if you are doing a study. You want to use the meaning, you must make sure that you have had an inter-rater reliability with a gold standard. Please ask me a question on that later. Okay, so now you know the CGI, Kaya told us, is for quantifying severity. It's a global assessment, isn't it? Can you tell us what's about? I'm happy to have somebody who can say something. So I'm sit down.
It's a clinician's assessment of the patient's level of improvement or the impression of the severity of the
So there's CGI S and there's CGI I. That is severity is S, I is improvement. Okay, go on. So it's 7 items from 1 to 7. They just ask you, look, from what you know about this type of patients, do you think this person is 1, okay, not sick anymore, or 7, the sickest human being you've seen in this group? Okay? So it's a global rating scale. And like GAF, who doesn't know about GAF? What's that? Yeah, that's a good one. And that's for a global assessment, which includes psychosocial, isn't it? Or we'll give another one so fast that is really meant for psychosocial. Okay, so once you get this classification, I'm really done well. So psychosocial functioning, that you see how we are classifying? We came with pure psychopathology, that is diagnosing them, screening for them, then quantifying them. You see what I mean? And now we are going to psychosocial function. That prevention, but a more specific psychosocial function is what? Who knows the meaning of SOFAS? What's SOFAS? Social and operational functioning assessment scale. It's like that to 0 to 100, not percent. 0 to 100. And we'll have in the practical session, for example. What of the WUDAS? This is the most commonly used questionnaire for psychosocial assessment. What's the meaning of WUDAS? Who? What's who? So who is for what? Then that's the disability assessment scale. 21 item questionnaire is brilliant. I have a copy here, and you feel it, not irritated. So she has disability scale is one of those I thought is really brilliant because it has 3 items and asks all these psychosocial questions in 3 items. Now that is an advantage and it's also a disadvantage. Who can tell us the disadvantage of using a very small number of items to assess a whole large group of functions? Who can tell us? What's the pros and cons?
Using a shorter instrument and save time.
So there's time saved, isn't it?
Yes.
That's number 1.
Yes. Then however, the problem is that
No, let's finish. Let's finish with the advantages.
Time, the financial resources,
Yes.
the resources generally.
It's okay.
Then
What of the people, if you are talking to children, children want to go and play, you are disturbing them. You can't give children a whole bunch of things. I mean, most of you have children here. You know it's simple. They want to play, so you are disturbing them. They want to get you out of the way. So, for those people, it's good to go on. So I know that. But what's the disadvantage?
disadvantage is that it may miss some
It
other.
will miss some other points, really. The full flavor of the, questions is not there.
You see, you have poor reliability, the poor validity, the good reliability.
Actually, let me tell you now, you are hitting on an important point. I'm giving it to question time, ask me more about reliability, but from what he said, Omeza is a statistician, and you know that if you want to do the internal consistency of the questionnaire, which is the first reliability test you do for the continuous variable questionnaire, you cannot do it unless there are at least more than 3 items. You cannot do internal consistency. Can you write that rule down? So when you want to do internal consistency, which you assess by Ober's alpha, you cannot do it for a questionnaire that has less than 3. Minimum is 3. So a questionnaire domain that has 3 items is less reliable than one internally consistent than one that has more items. So it has a drawback on reliability. That's a very important thing. So when you are doing your short version of a questionnaire, you cannot make it too short. Okay? Worst of all, you cannot then make it 1 item. That one is not even reliable anymore. Okay? Okay. So as I said, to check for improvement in conditions. And then I also told us about CGI improvement. isn't it? But one of the best ways to assess improvement is what we call a visual analog scale. And we tell you, look, this scale, this side, 1 or 0 means there is no depression, you are fine. This other one means I feel very, very bad. So they give it into 10 and ask you, can you tell us where you think you belong here? There are various forms of it, for quality of life, for all sorts of things on earth, okay? Visual analog scales are very good for following up patients. Okay, then I talk about personality scales. That's why I wanted psychologists to be here. And we should be trained in psychology. That's the difference we have between when I trained as a resident doctor. We had 6 months teaching in psychology, they trained us. So we know it. But none of you know it. Because you don't even enter training until you pass your primary. Yes. So I'm happy to tell you that. So the personality rating stage, I'm sure you know about the EPQ. Is there anybody who knows about the EPQ? What's EPQ? I will ask the psychologist. What's EPQ? I said, you should have known it before you went for example, but you forgot it. I said personality questionnaire, isn't it? Now, how many dimensions or domains does it have? Does anybody know? What? Huh? Tell me now, what are the domains, the traits in the EPQ?
Extroversion skills.
Huh?
Extroversion skills.
Extraversion.
Introversion skills.
Extraversion skills. Introversion, yes.
Okay. Psychotism.
Neuroticism.
Night.
Yeah, night scale is really, we now call it social desirability, isn't it? Okay. So that's basic. But there's one now that is after that, based on that still, it has 5 domains, the NEUROP. Who knows about the NEUROP? Who knows about the ocean? Do you know about that acronym, the ocean? What are they? O is for openness, experience, culture. C is for conscientiousness. E is for, A is for agreeableness, and N is for, please don't forget it. I'll come back to that, and then capital PF, nobody's using that anymore. But psychologists, I don't know why they still like using MMPI, which is a horrible instrument. It takes about 4 hours to feel, and it just tells you this person is likely for this and that. And it's over 200 items. I'm being conservative. I think I'm being conservative. So when you just wonder, it's lost its value in that way. To me, at the time when we didn't have better instruments, it was okay. But if you are going to ask your psychologist to do the traits of their patients, you better use the ones that are good. Now, why is it important? Why do you think assessing the traits, the starting traits of our patients is important? And everybody, I don't want to call up anyone. Can everybody just tell us why you think it is important to know about the personality traits? Can anybody tell us? Look, I'm asking you, is there any time you take history and you don't ask for comorbid personality? Why? Why do you? If you go for exam with it or you present to a consultant, you fail. You must tell us something about the comorbid personality. So why is it important, this element? Why is it important? 1, 2, 3.
One, sir, is when we are treating the individual, we can have a limit to which we can say that we can go beyond that limit. For example, an individual that is talkative and is having mania, so we can have an idea that this person, ab initio, is an extrovert.
So when we get there, we can't be giving him lithium or anything to make him to be less talkative than he is by nature. This is number 1. Number 2, yes?
We also ask for certain personalities to predispose the individual
To certain types. Can you give an example, my dear?
For example, an individual with schizophrenia personality
they are more likely to go to the schizophrenic side, and it's now more difficult to get them beyond that point that they have genetically. Good. Yes, what's another reason? These are biology. Yes?
You may also be dealing with a comorbid personality disorder.
You could also be dealing with a comorbid problem. Yes, what's another reason? What you do in the clinic. Look, when you, okay, tell me.
It can affect the way the patient respond to treatment.
Assesses treatment. Because if you ask somebody whose personality is not balanced, they are not going to take your tablets. Will they be well? Will they even attend clinic? Will they even respect their caregivers at home? So you see, it's very unfortunate that psychiatrists are not paying attention to these personality traits, whereas this personality trait issue is so close to your treatment, the patient you are dealing with. It involves everything in your interaction with your patient. Okay? So it's sad to me that we pay short attention to it. Now, intelligence rating skills. What do you have here as a psychology? Do you have waste and risk?
Yes, sir. We have it.
Okay, so waste means what? Western adult intelligence scale. And risk means what? Western intelligence scale for children. Okay, these are standard scales. But you have more general scales. People here generally automatic. You see, I'm a person, so I'm always, Yoruba is much closer to my house than Igbo. Do you know that? Yeah. I'm most likely to say Yoruba, and I give you the secret, is my mother. Whenever we want to say something and we don't want about to hear, we speak Yoruba. Yeah, so we touch me that way. So we have Levin's progressive matrices. You have them, don't you? You have it. And also Elizabeth Copi's draw adjustment test. So all these are personality fields. Okay? You see how we are doing our classification of instruments? Now, I'll now tell you the one that you don't know about at all. The one that is most difficult for doctors, which is neurocognitive assessment. I'll start by that one. Did I define it? Okay, I don't mind. Who can tell us the meaning of neurocognition? Can anybody tell us? It's on the board already. You didn't know that, but I'm telling you now. Neurocognition, how do you define neurocognition? You can read on the board.
Neurocognition refers to mental processes that underlie goal-directed behavior. It's about the individual interaction with the general environment.
Okay, so what do we mean? We mean that, as you are with me now, the most important aspect of your mental process is that you are awake. Because if you were asleep, you will not be here. But once you are awake, you must be paying attention. If you are split here and there, no, I would have wasted my time, as it will often happen. Even when people are looking at you, they have other processes going into their minds, isn't it? Yes. So, attention doesn't mean you are intelligent or grasping the subject. But for you to express that intelligence and to grasp the subject, you must have attention. So this is our problem. So you tell the patient, look, make sure you take your tablet 2 times a day, take this one 3 times a day, this one, and the patient says, yes, sir. But he's not with you. He's sleeping. So this is the problem. We are interacting with patients, we are giving them instruction about their care at home, and we are not assessing whether we are making an impression on them. That assessment of whether you are making an impression on them, which is fundamental to your clinical effectiveness, is assessment of neurocognition. You see how important it is? Yeah, this is an area that's very bad for doctors. We don't know how to do it. So what I've done is to use a system from the DSM-5. One of the things I thought is the most important component of that book, the DSM-5. So now, people ask you cognition. We defined it. Neuro is when it's more personal. But social cognition, what's social cognition? Who knows? Have you heard about that before? So, for that, neurocognition is about the individual. Social cognition is about what? Your interaction with another. I don't have to say, you don't have to interact with me in order to understand what I'm saying. Have you? But in order to do things with me, to now exchange information with me, you need to interact. The mental process also that underlies that is what we call what? Social cognition. This area has become very important because it's about social relationship and we are social animals, aren't we? So this area that underlies so much of what is going on in the world, that is the interaction between individuals, between nations and all that. Now people are studying them and this has become very important. I'm expecting that psychologists and psychiatrists, we should be doing work in these areas. We don't know the meaning of emotional intelligence, do we? We don't know the meaning of social intelligence. You know, these are skills. Huh? Many people have them naturally, but many people have to acquire them. Even those who have them, you have to improve on it. I'm looking forward to a situation whereby those of them who say they don't have topics can choose these things. Social intelligence, emotional intelligence. There are questionnaires on them. You know, what is the pattern of social intelligence around us? Whether it's among our doctors who are having so many troubles with themselves. You know, because what you find is that, surprisingly, psychiatrists have the greatest problem within their group where they work. And I don't know why. I don't know why. These are people who are supposed to be psychotherapy, let me use that time, other people. They are supposed to be healing relationships, isn't it? And they are the worst in relationships. It is possible that it's because those who are normal in personality, they gravitate into psychiatry. Otherwise, why are we worse than surgeons and gynecologists and all that? Why can't we heal ourselves within the group? This is a question for all of you, wherever you are in this country. But check every hospital, whether it's Jude or Lagos or whatever. Doctors are fighting doctors. You know, this is terrible.
Science is supported by evidence and the psychiatrist.
Okay, you don't need more evidence than check what is happening in Kaduna, in Yaba, in Enugu. The evidence is you. It's the law of your evidence. It's like saying, what evidence do I need that I'm hungry? When the one guy is biting inside me, even if you tell me I'm not hungry, will I listen to you? So the evidence is all over the psychiatric hospitals we have, and also in our institutions of higher learning, in the universities. Psychiatrists don't relate well among themselves, and it's a disaster. And other people look at us and they say we are abnormal. So it's something for you. But the question we ask is, if you can't heal yourselves in your social relations, how do you attempt to, counsel your patients? It's fraud, isn't it? The physician should heal yourself first. You should take care, and I'm speaking to you as individuals and as a group. You should heal yourselves, because the relationship that psychiatrists have is really abysmally low. It's very good. They are social. Anyway, that's what we're talking about, social and emotional intelligence. Somebody can look at the pattern of social intelligence and emotional intelligence within or between professional groups. That's a fantastic contribution to science, isn't it? And the other groups. But you find that psychiatrists, their level of social intelligence is very low. And that's not about IQ. Okay? Okay. So I'm happy to learn about social intelligence and emotional intelligence before. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to give you the idea talk on cognition, which is an area that I'm focusing on now in my research. Let us now classify neurocognitive or cognitive skills. Let's now classify them. So we come to what? First, screening instruments. Huh? Any problem? Screening instruments, isn't it? Now, one of the earliest screening instruments is the elemental state recognition, which you know about, isn't it? But studies upon studies, and I say that whereas the MMSC is good for people with dementia and cognitive impairment, have you heard about, where is my friend? Your colleague. I think, is he here in Kano who is doing work on is he in Kano? Yeah, he should have been here, thank you. Because he's doing work on this. So you should know that MMSC is good for people when they are screening for what? MCI, what's MCI? And also for dementia. It's okay. But it's not okay when you are screening for neurocognition in the larger sphere of psychiatry. We have new screening instruments. I have copies of them. I don't know whether I printed this. SCIP means screening for cognitive impairment in psychiatry. 5 items questionnaire, very good. And also PACS. And also, so we have this screening instrument, okay? And also the perceived deficit questionnaire, which is either 10 or 20 items. I have these questionnaires. Then we have specific tests. I've used Instinct because it's available free of charge on the internet. It's a battery, but there are better batteries than that. The next one, you have executive function test. What's the meaning of executive function? Who can tell us? I've written it on the board, right? Aha, you write it. So tell us, what's the meaning of executive function? When we say executive function, what do we mean?
Executive function has to do with it has various components: planning, being able to remember, judgment. These are some of the executive functions of the brain.
Yeah, but how do you know? I say, tell us, what's a human being? Human being is made up of man and woman and all that. Who knows? The word there is executive, isn't it? Executive function aspect of cognitive impairment is practical application. You see, you didn't do psychology. When we did psychology, we did the psychology of the ego. I will have to tell you, what are the functions of the ego? Do people know those things? Function. Yeah, I still remember when I did my psychiatry, most of you were not born by then. Or if you were born, you were suckling breast. You know? But I still remember 8 ego functions. And one of them is this, integrative function. So the executive function, look, I'm talking to you now. The only way you can make business, the only way you can fully understand me is you are trying to adapt what I'm telling you to your own level of understanding, to your previous experience. You see, you are planning, you are making do with it, you are doing things with it. It's not just hitting you, and you're staying there. You will never remember it. The only way you can remember knowledge is what? That you have practical applications. You do things, so what I'm giving you in terms of knowledge is an investment. But what's an investment if it doesn't yield anything? It's just there, dormant, isn't it? So executive function is that aspect of cognitive function that we might say constitutes a profitable investment. What you use to make gain out of what you've been told, how you apply what you do. And we are going to give examples. So what the instruments you have there are various of them. I have quite a number of them. Wisconsin tax software, you heard about it, isn't it? Yes, we actually have it in the movie. Actually, what you have in the movie is that when I was in Kuwait previously, I made copies of it and brought somebody has taken away that main copy. So when I'm going now, I'm going to make a copy now to go back with it. You see how things go. So the Stroop test, digit symbols, we'll talk about this. Then the dementia rating scales. So that's for neurocognition, which will go into more detail. The patient-reported outcomes is what they tell you, quality of life. Many of you are studying quality of life, they are studying body and all that. This is what it's not satisfactory. It's what the patient tells you, and they usually feel the same themselves. I'm really not happy with people doing quality of life studies now. Why? I'll tell you why. Because I think you don't know how to, quantify the scales. Hardly. They don't know that there are 3 ways of using those scales. It's either you use the raw score, or you use the 4 to 20 score. You know what I mean, or you use the 0 to 100 scale. And people just say, they apply quality of life. So, because you don't know it, and you fail, because you didn't report well. So, but if we have time at the end, I can tell you about that. But is anybody using quality of life scale? Who what? It's a very popular question. None of you. That's why. Okay, so there are scales like that. When you talk about quality of life, you can then say whether it is generic. What do I mean by generic scale? Do you know? As opposed to a disease-specific scale. Psychologists should know this one. Do you know about quality of life scales?
Yes, we use it, but we don't use it here.
But it's available on the internet.
Yes.
You just bring it down, and then if you put whoop or breath inside Google now, you get free copies from the Google site. Yeah? So the whoop one is there. Anyway, quality of life scales are popular, and they are either what? Generic, which means they can be used for broad groups of diseases or conditions, and even for normal people. Whereas disease-specific scales are meant for particular disease conditions. Who can tell us the pros and cons? Who can tell us? That's your name, Jude, eh? Yes, so we have seen their name. You should be bright, at least brighter than me. So tell us, what are the advantages, what are the pros and cons of using a generic scale, and then tell us the advantage of using a disease-specific scale. Do you know? It doesn't matter whether it's quality of life, anything, but that concept, the generic scale and the disease-specific scale. Do you know?
The generic scale can give an insight into a particular disease condition or a group of disease conditions. While
So a generic scale can be used to compare across conditions because the questions apply to all those, it applies to people in general. It's not specific. Whereas the disease-specific scale, gives you greater details, but you can only use it for people who have that. So they are useful in their own ways. Another concept you use is what you call health-related quality of life. Do you know what we mean by health-related quality of life? This is in terms of what you call quality of life theory. You people have not read it up, but please read it up. It's a brilliant series of quality. Health-related quality of life means, again, is disease-specific, as opposed to what you might call psychosocial aspect. So when you use a health-related quality of life skill, it means you are talking about the health of this individual. What is their quality, the quality of their life, from the point of view of whether they are healthy or not. Okay, that's the whole lot of talk. Okay, and these are examples of quality of life skills. This for cancer, EORTC. EORTC stands for European Organization for Research and Treatment in Cancer, Quality of Life, Party Item. So you use it for all sorts of cancer patients. Then you have a BRC BR means breast, 23 items. This is the American version. Here is the European version. These are about the city. And also under social support skills, which you should use a lot in their studies. Because whenever you are making an outcome or whatever, social support will come in. Not when it's in terms of clinical outcome. Somebody who is living with their parents and is well fed, and now somebody who makes sure they take their drugs, the outcome will usually be different from somebody who is living on their own, and so on and so forth. So you should be able to have the still other sets of skills, self-esteem, positive and negative aspects. It is mandatory that our resident doctors should be familiar with these skills. Okay, now this is the main thing I wanted to say, and at the end of it, we stop for. If you go to DSM-5, you have it in the net, this way I do it. This is what I think, if you ask me, is the most important part. Is the most important contribution to DSM-5. This skill, let me see it. What does it tell you? It tells you about, please, you have to make a copy of this and read it and understand it. I want to see one of you do their presentation on assessment of cognition. And it's so easy. The patients are sitting there for you. You are not going to take anything. You are seeing them anyway. You are assessing their memory and all sorts of things. Isn't that so? So what you just say, do it in a standard manner. And you have a brilliant thesis. So neurocognition, but you have to go and get educated in the neurocognition. And that's it. So the cognitive domains you can see. So the first one you have is attention. See how this table is. You can't enter because the screen is. So it gives you 3 parts. It tells you the cognitive domain, immediately. Then it gives you examples. This is a very brilliant table. It gives you what happened. Then it gives you examples of on how to, for instance, attention. You have sustained attention, selective attention, and divided attention. Is this not brilliant? And what do you mean by selective, sustained attention? That we ask you to press a button. In order to be able to press it, your attention must be there. Otherwise, sometimes you lift your hand or use another hand or whatever. Selective attention is what you are doing all the time. That when you are in a place and a lot of noise is going on, you are able to ignore all those. Like people who live with television and children, especially women, you have to have selective attention. Otherwise, you can't do anything with it. But while you are doing or doing anything, the children are running around, then the husband, who is terrible, is also doing his own thing. You have to be able to ignore the small terrible ones and the big terrible ones and just focus on what you're doing. If you don't do it as a married woman with a family, you can't get anywhere. If you don't have that ability for selective attention, then what I'm going to say is, oh, I'm stressed, I can't do everything. No, it's not true. What is really true is that you are lacking in that cognitive ability, which is what? Selective attention. And you better go and handle it. Okay? And divided attention is similar, that you are driving a car and you are making a phone call, which is the most dangerous thing on earth, isn't it? But all of us do it every day. So when you can split your attention and to be multitask. So this paper gives you the kind of examples you need. So let's go through the types of cognition. So this is attention, isn't it? There are 6 of them. The next one is what? Executive function that we mentioned. And how many parts are there to executive function? There are 5 or 6 of them. What are they? Planning. Let's take it from this side. As I was telling us, planning, these are aspects of executive function. The next one is what? Decision making. And the next one is what? What's the meaning of working memory? Okay, I want to tell us what the meaning of working memory. Just give us some example. Working memory. You can't. Who can give us? Huh? Look, if I tell you, what's the name? If I tell you, look, I want you to take the number of Dr. Taiwo now. It's okay, sir. 0706, yeah, 0706. 1395, 1395, 5991. What are you doing? You are working with it. Once it's finished, you can't remember that number again. You just used it to hold on to be able to make that record of that thing. You use it to work. It's memory that will go online. It's online. Once on the line is report, that is that finish dictating what I'm dictating. You don't have need for it anymore, unless you store it in another bank of memory. And there are 3 kinds of ways. Okay? So working memory is what? What you use, like online, what you used to do is actually very short, immediate memory. That's another name for it. But it's part of the executive function. What on earth will you execute if you are not able to take dictation? And working memory has been shown to be so much related to many aspects of our functioning. Whether you pass the exam, do well in school and all these are related to working memory. There are skills to assess working memory. And I have one of them in that skill. So, can we say again the parts of executive function, planning, decision making, working memory, feedback? So, I tell you, no. You don't know this thing, isn't it? So, I teach you about it. And then I ask you, tell me what's there. Can you say that? And you cannot say that. Again, it's part of attention. Or you didn't make use of it because that's another thing you use for this executive function. If you don't make use of it, you lose it. Making use of it, of what you learned, is executive function. So, whether you can learn from what has happened to you in the past, that's part of feedback or error utilization. Overriding habits or inhibition so that things are difficult. If you are like some people are having in my house, that's my own children. You just get a little obstacle, they say that you're tired. Why? You are very brilliant and you say that. So you have to put his neck in it. And then you do it and do it very well. But if you left him, they will say that. You can't overcome difficulty. You have to hold your hands. Okay, so how you're able to overcome difficulty, you are staying power. And then mental cognitive flexibility. So if this one doesn't work, this other way you take it. So you have plan A, plan B, plan C. So these are the components of executive function. Can you tell us what are the components of it? How many are there?
5.
Okay, tell us.
6.
Anyone you say, just mention it.
Okay. Planning.
So I'm
Decision making.
going to give you in the morning. I hope decision making. Because in the exam, we ask you to write short notes on executive function. Using part 1. Okay, yeah. Planning, decision making.
Working memory.
You should remember them now. That one is working memory. It's on the board now.
Feedback and mental flexibility.
Overriding your condition. Your staying power. Okay. When you read this more, you find that it's very funny. So we talked about attention, which goes with concentration, We talked about what? Executive function. Now we go for the third part, which is learning and memory. Memory, you have immediate memory, which is like this working memory. You have also recent memory and all that. I'll teach you a bit about memory because it can be quite a difficult area to do. So you have immediate memory, you have recent memory, you have a long-time memory, and we can divide what do you mean by semantic and autobiographical, semantic or autobiographical and implicit memory. These are things we are going to learn. Have you heard about that kind of thing? Semantic memory and also implicit memory. Okay. I'm happy with that. Learning is another area of cognitive function. Well, that's part of that. Right. So we've had how many cognitive functions? We've had attention, executive function, the next one is what? Language now, isn't it? Expressive and receptive language. This one is straightforward. Okay. Then you have perceptual and motor skills. And this will test them when we give you something to draw. Huh? Okay. Do you know about this? Perceptual and memory? Because we give you, say, okay, draw this square, and can draw it, see how it is, and draw. To see whether you can coordinate what you're seeing with what you're doing with your hands. Perceptual and memory and motor skills. Please read these things and be conversant with them. Then we come to social cognition, the one you haven't heard about before. Did we say about social cognition? There are 5 things. The first one is, are you able to recognize emotion? Somebody is talking to you. Are you able to recognize that this person is angry, or you are just deaf to it? When you are not able to feel emotion, what do we call it? When people are not able to feel emotion, what's that concept? Alexithymia. Means not available. Isn't it? Then time means mood or emotion. So alexithymia, people who cannot feel emotion. Like example, in psychiatric, what's the extreme end of not being able to feel emotion? Autism. They are not able to recognize emotion because they are not bringing it out themselves. So they can't relate. So are we able to recognize emotion? What do you call theory of mind, not theory of the mind? Do we know?
Yes.
What do you mean of theory of mind?
We need to consider that person's mental state. That is what the other person is likely to be thinking.
Yes. So you can follow that. So they know that, if you are relating well with people, when you are saying something and you are having difficulty, they supply it. Is that also? Do you not find it with your loved ones, especially if you have a loving partner? When you are saying something, it will supply it and you just go on. Isn't it? That's theory of mind. So they're able to enter your mind and know what you feel. What do we call that? Empathy. Not sympathize with you from a distance, but you know what you have in your mind. This is the whole problem with schizophrenics. They have that problem of this difficulty theory of mind. Okay, and there's a whole way of assessing it. And all that. Social attribution, that's another aspect of it. How do you understand by social attribution? Our community is a world of telling social attribution. What do you mean? if you come from the Pujamo school, and you fail in the exam, and your mother say you failed in the exam because you were just stupid and irresponsible. Isn't that so? They say, they went around me to, these people, I don't know how where this man went and married them. Because my own children are doing well, now this one who is brightest among them, he is not ask the boy, did you go and be smoking cannabis instead of going to school? It must be that the other woman is a person. Isn't it? Same thing in our government, isn't it? If the government is not doing well, as they are bound not to do well, once the other party says they are not doing this, we are you better. If you are envious of us, you are not of us. It's not that they are making, you cannot have an objective criticism of the other fellow. It must be that you have a terrible intent. Now we call that bad social attribution. How do we use it in medicine?
We can look at it as having like internal locus of
Oh, so that's what we measure. We measure what? Internal locus of control and who has not heard about that? Who has not heard about internal locus of control, external, and what we call internalizing disorders and externalizing disorders? Let's start from there. Who knows about externalizing disorders? We know by this. You can tell us. What do you by externalizing and internalizing?
Internalizing disorders are anxiety, depression.
You mean, are you saying internalizing? Okay.
Why externalizing are things like conduct disorder, indifferent, aggressive behavior.
Yeah, but what's the commonest example of externalizing behavior? Externalizing disorder? Huh? If drug addiction, do they take, where is their problem? It's outside, they are smoking, and if they could smoke and we won't perceive their odor, you'll be okay. The other day I was in Lagos, around Yaba Psychiatric Hospital. If you go along that highway road in the evening, it's terrible. They are smoking cannabis on the road. And then you branch into one of those streets to go this way to that Niger Palace Hotel. It's a disaster. If you have allergy, you will cough. These children are just smoking. It wasn't like that before. I don't even know what has happened now. So they are smoking cannabis all over the street. They don't smoke it in their house, they're smoking it outside. So drug addiction is what? An externalizing disorder. Whereas depression is a major externalizing disorder. So what now do we mean by, tell us my friend, what do we mean now by external locus of control, internal locus of control? Do you know? Tell us now, we'll give you an example. This is about our society. Would you say our society has internal locus of control? Okay, tell us why. Why do you say so?
In external locus of control, the person tends to blame others
For their limitations, everything. And that's available among us here, isn't it? Huh? It's a very available thing. I'm going to annoy you now. A commoner example with workers is if the CMD or president can't pay salary, it's not because they don't have the money. Even they bring the book to you, it must be, they've chopped the money. They have, are they not leaving this house there and doing this? It is not practically possible to convince your workers that, look, this is not my books, see it, I don't have the money. The structure of our society is such that they can never admit that. Is it true of us? It's true. So when you are exhibiting such characteristics, you are not just fighting the MD wherever they are, because it's all over the country. I'm not just talking about, you know what's happening in the whole country. You are not just saying you don't agree with the head of the institution. No. You are speaking your national character. If you do that in Britain, you are asked, you are sacked. Tell me, what's your problem? We say we are going to pay this, we are going to pay it when we can. We can't do that now. So, if they show you to that in Britain, you go back to work. When time comes, you come again. But here in Nigeria, all over Nigeria, there is not a single head of institution who can make that point. Why? Because this country, we are wired on what? On what, Nathan? Yes. Our wiring. So I'm asking you to treat yourselves too, and treat all those who are around you. That what you are really dealing with is our wiring. And what you want to ask yourself is, do you want to hold yourself hostage to this national wiring? Or do you want to grow, become more mature as an informed psychiatrist and become better? What are you doing? See, if you don't apply what you are learning, then it's useless, isn't it? In other words, what I'm doing now is the practical application, which is what we call executive function. Okay? So you have to apply whatever you learn. First of all, to benefit yourself, and then benefit others. This lecture, this bit of it, is actually come to the main end. What I could have done, if you weren't so bored, is to give you my only money for learning about executive function. But I'm going to say, so I have a money for it, but I think I should stop here. Thank you. So, fellows, what I want to tell you is this. Actually, what I think is most important of what I told you is that I have given you information about neurocognition. That focus yourself, okay? So, this is the more rigorous way. I will show you the lazy man's way of doing it. Yeah? But let's take the more rigorous way. So, let's just keep having it. 2, 3 papers. It doesn't matter, we are just using an example. Okay? So, let's just keep 3. Okay, good. Some of them are free on the internet. When you see free PMCC, many articles are free. You click on them, you get the full article free. Right. Now you click what you want. So what do you do next? You go here. They've changed this format to formerly. It wasn't as bad as this. It's bad now because when I click here, it doesn't allow me to do what I like to do, which is sort by. Okay. Let's instead of talking, what do you do? You click on this. What do you want? You want abstract. Why is this bad now? Because when I click that abstract, it starts rolling. Whereas if I clicked 60 articles, you see, it should be able to tell me how many articles do I want in a page. The default line is 20. Okay? But you may want the whole 60 of them in a page. Because, well, you're in Nigeria where NEPA is doing things to you, isn't it? You put all your team, you say, look, the next time, when you finish this one, you click the next page, and NEPA has gone, and your work has gone. Isn't it? So you want to be able to control it. But now you can't control it. So it's already done that. But anyway, I don't know why they did this. So this is how you can sort it. Usually the default is most recent, comes first. But you can sort it by publication date and all that. Okay. But another thing is to tell you how many do you want to be page. It's not even showing here. Where is that thing? Because as I said, the default is 20 abstracts in a page. But you may have, you are doing a literature search and NEPA is ruling on you. If you are living in Britain, it doesn't matter. You can take your time, you will never take that. Have you? Kaduna, I'm told they don't take lunch. So you are not. I can't even see that. You see, these people kill themselves out of life. I don't know why they do this kind of thing. The formatting they had before was very good. He stayed there, you click on this side, click on this side. Now, anyway, so it's okay. So now you have 4 papers and they are abstract, you see? So you can read them. Some of them are free of charge. Let's take the one that are free of charge. Where is it? Where you have the PMC article. So, like this one. You click on it. You are not going to get the full article. Those of them you can't get, you can order through your librarian. The librarian should know what they are doing. So, you see, the full article has come. You will probably want the PDF. This one you don't have PDF, but you can say data friendly. The thing has come. The full article is here. Beyond the abstract, the production and all that. Isn't that so? But you can't do anything with it now like this, can you? Because these pictures will show well. You want to use the printer-friendly version, usually a PDF. But there is no PDF there. You can see. You take one that has PDF. You know what I have a PDF file? Okay. So we use the printer-friendly version. You print it. I mean, you click on it. And this one comes now. You see, it's better structure. I'm surprised you don't have a PDF. This is probably not as far. You can see now that it's better. This presentation, you can now copy and paste. You can see now. Let's look at those diagrams. How do they come out? These are the pictures. You see how those diagrams that we are minuscule. You see how those, so is this like a PDF from the bottom, not a PDF. So I want to get one that's PDF. So I'll go back. Have you? I've clicked too far. Let me click next. So the outside is on. This is the one we click with. Let's take one that has to do. This is free article again. So now you see PDF now here. Are you seeing it? See the difference. This journal is the World Psychiatric. And we all know that this machine has to. Okay? We all know that in order to get the PDF, this one, where's the reason? Okay. You know that you have to click here to download the PDF, isn't it? Is there anybody who doesn't know this? Huh? If I know it, you should be able to know it. So you click, now you have full PDF will come. See? So you can save, you can do things with it. Huh? Okay? So this is a PDF. Then you can save. You can click here and save as. Well, you know all these ones. There's no need for me to do it. This is no longer. Okay. So I've shown you how to use it. Let's use what? Let's use the lazy master. What's the lazy master? The lazy master, instead of doing one by one, I go to the abstract. I mean the items. I see that this paper, number 1, is closest to what I want. But I can't access so many of them. I thought it was amazing. You should be teaching me this. So, you see what they wrote here, similar articles. That's why I call it the lazy man's way. So once you've done, you get one that's closest to what you want. You click on it and see what it does now. It will give you so many articles that are related to this issue. 102 of them. And they are closer in content in terms of what you want. So now, you are in business. Have you got the point? Because many of you say you don't know how to search literature, and I don't know why. Literature is there for everybody. So this is, so you can see them, all of them, including our Dewey's paper. So anybody who has published in this area of whether they self-stigma, see everything related to it. Okay? This is brilliant. So I don't know if somebody we should use this. This is great. I like it. You know him? Yes. You know Dr. Jude? Very bright boy. Very bright boy. Yes, he's a professor. He's very good. Let's see again with A-O. Again. A-O, I think. Yes. It's another example. What do you have? You have 59 on this mainland, that is indexed. We'll have many more that are not indexed. But to go again from time, has always published in journal that are indexed. I didn't do that. Okay, so this is your paper, and there are all sorts of things your journal has written. It does very good. God is very good. I'm very proud of it. So, you want papers on anxiety and all that, you just so now, similar articles, you click here again, you don't need to repeat myself on that, please. Okay, so you get that. So anybody who has published, you can get their papers. So you can get, if they ask you, but you didn't put the work of Ohaeri and Blue and all that. It's their fault. Because I should have done this. You say, but you don't know where to get it. That's foolish. You have internet for all sorts of stupid things. So you just put www whatever and get it. If you can't get it, because a lot of my articles, earlier ones, were not on this, you know, you can put the name in Google and you get a special Google Scholar. So, for this more professional search engine. Okay, so now let's search by subject. Instead of using the name of the fellow. So you want to study depression in Africa, isn't it? So depression dash what? Africa. Which videos? See who has recently written. You click again. So as many, but look, when you are using nothing, what happened? Why did the why did they time? What?
The hyphen.
No, the hyphen is correct.
Following counts are not found.
Yeah, that's surprising. Because surely people want to. No, it can't be crossed. It's correct. See, I did not separate them. Have you learned something from there? So it was as if it was one word, depression, Africa, a compound word. Have you learned something from there? You have to separate them. So keywords, don't use too many keywords because they bear distance off. 3, 4 is okay. And you can get any amount of keywords. But use keywords. See now, the way we did it, whereas there was 0, Now you have how many papers? You see now? So, okay. Mental health, Ebola related, this publishing is okay. So, whatever you want is there. And as I say, the lazy man's method, if you get an article that you really like, that you think is really in your way, you click on that and you go. Is that okay now? Those who are doing their part, you can get it now. So you can search for any article, you can search for anybody. Okay? If you think an author is only published in an area, go for it. And then you get articles that are free. Many of them are free. I don't know what's wrong with this. When I do this, okay. So you click on, look out for these articles that are free. Okay. Is there anybody who's confused about this? Huh? Okay. So now you are going to have a lot of articles, isn't it? Let me teach you a little. You want to be ready, you want to have a lot of knowledge, isn't it? Yes. There are many free online things, they send you these things free of charge, and you try it. The best of them is Medscape. Is there any of you who doesn't subscribe to Medscape? Medscape, you have to go for what you want. Because if you go for so many things, they will harass you, they are terrorists. They will give you this every day, you'll be tired. So you must choose the area you want. So you want to say, Medscape, psychiatry, you are interested in depression, or whatever. Or you send you a Medscape psychiatry. So they will give you, and if they are having any big association meeting, like American Psychiatric Association, or the British one, you know, they monitor, so it's as if you are there. All the papers they are presenting there, from the big fellows, they are mentioned in Medscape. You can read them. So medscape.com, that's not it, is it? Okay. So I wanted to tell you that. Now let's go to our topic. Can we split ourselves into 3 or 4 groups? Because I think we have no more. So I'll teach you about it. Okay, somebody is. Oh, have you taken the where? Okay. Huh? Please. Okay, split yourselves. 3 or 4, as many as there are these questionnaires, so that we are looking at them in detail. Okay, split yourselves up. But I need to have a copy. So can you read this? It's not clear, it's too small. I believe that the most important statement in this page It's the last paragraph, the last sentence at the bottom of the one. Can somebody read it for us? This is the most important statement as far as I'm concerned in this. I'm going to say 3 or 4 things about this document, but this one is the most important. So can somebody read it for us? Please, can we listen? I said it's the most important. Please read loudly. No, don't worry about that. Read the last one.
This program is designed to encourage free from full mental and psychiatric evaluation by a qualified licensed physician.
In other words, no matter what you do, the clinical examination you do, you are talking to a patient, is superior. This does not in any way replace your clinical interaction with your patient as you are taught to do. Isn't that so? Because sometimes people think once you use this, you are free. It's not true. You have to realize that it doesn't replace that clinical interview. Most importantly, it's really mental state examination. Is there any patient you ever encounter and the only thing is mental state examination? Is it not at the end of the story when you have had history, which you are presenting complaint article work, and even physical examination? Then you do mental state examination. This thing is telling you, don't come and confuse yourself and say you use meaning, and then you didn't talk to your patient about other aspects of their life. Is that clear? Please note this one. It does not replace clinical examination that trains psychiatrists. This is the first point and the most important point. Second point. This book or this module or whatever I want to call it is really key to making diagnosis by what do you call it? ICD, DSM, especially DSM. What goes on here is that there's a lot of Ojoro in it. What do I call it? Ojoro. Yeah. Because it just says, look, we want to make it short so that we have advantage over scan or CD and all that. And what they just do is take those questions and abridge them so that apparently they are getting a shorter questionnaire. But all those questions you are going to ask in the other questionnaire are there. This is another important point. That they are not creating new items, they are not creating new symptoms. Everything you've been taught in psychiatry about how to do mental state examination is all available. But what they are doing is making sure that you are asking a set of questions. Whereas if you didn't use it and you told us to make your diagnosis by DSM 4 or 5, we don't know whether you included those criteria and items by which you must make a diagnosis in DSM. This is what this is all about. This is to make sure that your diagnosis so-called is based on criteria that are written in the books. This is the second point. Have you got that? The first point I said, I'm going to make 4 points, isn't it? And I'm making them in order of importance. So that second one is that you can't say you use meaning and you did not use meaning. You can't say you use meaning just to download it in our front and run away with us. You must go for the purpose for which it is meant, which is ensuring that you are using items from here to ask the question. This is the second important point. Okay? So when you say you use meaning, make sure you use meaning. Third point. If this is written in modules, each of them, module A, for instance, about depression, and K is on psychosis, isn't it? Why is that so? You see that each module has 2 parts. The first part of it is what we call the screener. For instance, on page 5, you have it written the first 2 items to diagnose depression, which is what? sadness, isn't it, and anhedonia. Most psychiatrists know that if a patient doesn't have these items, you can't get the depression diet. So you skip and move on. That's why it is a what? Semi-structured. So the advantage of this instrument, unlike C, is that you can actually use it as a screener. So to screen out all the other diagnostic areas that are, let's say you are studying schizophrenia. So you don't need to ask all the questions to make sure that they don't have comorbid OCD or depression or anxiety. No, the screeners are there for you to just use them. 2 items. And that's easy. You can run 2 just to make sure that you have screened out, because many people say they are studying depression and they haven't told us whether the patient has anxiety. And is it not well known now that comorbidity is more the rule, isn't that so, than the exception? So somebody who has anxiety and depression has the right to have depression or whatever, isn't it? So the third point about this question is that it helps you to screen out in a brief manner so that your patient doesn't have the other conditions, and then you go and focus on the area of interest for you. Have you got that? So when you use me, it means that it helps you to do what? Screen out all the other areas of possible comorbidity.
Doesn't mean that even when your outcome of interest is depression, for example, you want to look at the diagnosis of depression, it's necessary to run through all these screening process.
Is that not what you do in your clinic? Is there any patient who comes to your clinic and you tell them, do you have the feeling that you are not happy or sad in the past 2 weeks? You say, and do you feel that you've lost interest? And if they say yes, then you stop there and start treating them. Is that how you treat your patient? What do you do?
You ask another question.
You want to know whether this person who has depression has bipolar disorder, which is a different disease, isn't it? You want to know whether they have anxiety. That's what we do. That's why I told you that this point is most, that's to answer that your question. So it is wrong for you to be doing a project here. You want to assess the prevalence of depression, and then you just go and go. This is nonsense. Okay? You have to let us know now whether there are other things that could be exclusionary. Going on what you said, tell me, what do you think is the way that ICD and DSM are structured? What do you think is the principal thing in each diagnostic field? Tell me, do you know? What do you think is the principal, the core, the advancement that is done? You don't know at DSM 2. I was saying to you. So you don't know a job that it constituted in 1980 when these people came with diagnostic criteria. What do you think is the core thing, the new thing that Caesar and Endicott and Co. introduced by this? Tell me, which is what does ICD from ICD-10, ICD-9 is not there. What do you think? Does anybody know? It is the presence of a set of diagnostic criteria. What are the principal constituents of the diagnostic criteria? What are they? There are 4 of them, which makes you say, look, we have diagnosed a disease condition. Whether it's in psychiatry or cardiology, what do we know? So there's what you want to start from where, I mean, somebody comes to you, are going to diagnose depression, say, how long have you been sick? Is that what you ask them? What do you ask them? You want to ask their distress. So that's the first D, the symptom. Someone has to tell you, look, I'm having headache. Before you start asking, how long has it lasted? Isn't it? Okay. So the first point of the diagnostic criteria is the first D. Now, not to waste time, there are 3 B's and 1 E. Tell me about those B's. So the 3 B's and 1 E that make up the diagnostic criteria. That's what DSM and ICD are. If you remove this schema, it's not available. So tell me, Look at
Distress,
distress, disability. Good. Now you see, he knows it. But he was presenting what you think? He was pretending he didn't. Oh, you all know it now, don't you? Maybe it's the way I asked the question. Is that so? Huh? So, ask your time since you say yes. What I've got you before. So, the D is distress. The second D is what? Duration. And the third one is psychosocial disability. And the E is for what? Yeah. You cannot make a diagnosis of, let's say, what do you call it? Migraine, without asking all those points about headache, isn't it? Yeah. So the exclusionary category is there. Now, what is this important? It's important. Can you write it down? The difference between making a checklist diagnosis and the proper diagnosis. What do you mean by checklist diagnosis? That means, already, do you feel that you've been depressed in the past 2 weeks? Now, do you feel that you've lost interest in the things that you like to do? Do you sometimes feel like doing yourself? I mean, you've gone. How on earth is that going to help you? If my wife or daughter or anybody behaves towards me, I'm going to feel all these things. These are normal human emotions that become abnormal. Isn't it? So if you teach somebody as having depression, because the answer to this question, this is nonsense. What makes it depression clinical is that it has lasted for this long. Because if it is that my wife annoys me because I'm a poor man, I'm not able to give her the money. You're a married man, isn't it? I mean, more often than not, if your wife asks you for money, say, no, unless you are married, you don't get from Ethiopia or something. But if you are at the level of me and you, the mother asks you, I somebody look, I need money or what do you want me to do? This is the one I have. You see, but I know I can tell you trouble has come. Are you going to say, so I'm not happy with you and I walk away? Are you saying I'm depressed? No. After 1 day or so, I come and give you a piece of it. You always ask me for too much. Give yourself alone. You know, poor people know how to get their wife back, isn't it? It's only rich people who don't have that practice. Okay, so if you have the practice, so the woman goes away and you're okay. You don't have depression. But meanwhile, once she gave you that harassment, you are not feeling fine at all. Isn't it? Yeah. So, for you to have depression, you needed to have it that long, you needed to feel disabled by it, and we have to exclude that your wife is biting you. Because depression is not caused by your wife biting you. You may contribute to it, but the thing is the direct that is coming from inside, isn't it? And you have to feel. So you know the difference between checklist diagnosis and correct diagnosis. So that's the next point I've seen here. You have the 3 Ds and the 1 D. Final point. Okay, 4.5. 4, 1.5. Look at this questionnaire, these things. The way it's structured is, it asks you, after the screening part, if you have, then you continue. If the patient has, then you continue. If you don't have, then you leave. But there are 3 levels of having or not having. The patient may not have it now. That is chronic. So you ask them, do you have it now? They say no. That's the way it's structured. Then the next one is, have you had it in the past 12 months? Isn't it that 12-month privilege? Then you have ever had it last time, especially if you are doing a genetic study. Because if somebody is not having a symptom now, you may have had it some time ago, isn't it? So you have to know that you're going to ask these questions, not just now. Because our classical thing about mental state examination is really 1 month, isn't it? From PSC online or whatever, isn't it? So the fact that they don't have it now, it's like a patient who is treated for schizophrenia. They have courses 2 months ago. Now they don't have it. Are you going to say they don't have to be finished? Okay? So you have to know the period. Now, finally, so I'm going to say 4 things. This is the 4th one, or the 4B, which is the most important. I told you that there's a lot of the who doesn't understand the meaning of the religion? Mohammed, how can you explain it? You are Yoruba now?
Yes.
Mohammed, but it's become Ethiopianized. Doesn't know Yoruba again.
No, I know Jonathan.
Okay, exactly. Can you read the first item? Read the first. I'm not seeing your term. Can you read the first one, please? Page 5. Please read the first one. A1A. Oh, yeah, read it. Jude. Read A1A. Let me show you the theory. Oh, yeah, read it.
Have you been consistently depressed?
Which one are you reading? Which version is he? He is looking into his. Use this one. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, read. Read now.
Have you been consistently depressed?
Page 5. This is 5. A1A. A1A. Were you ever depressed or down? Most of the day, nearly every day.
So that is the difference.
No, can you get I'm not the one who gave you that. I have no idea. This is version 5, you see. Whereas I'm teaching you with an updated version. You see the problem. Version 6. So please have version 6 with you.
There's nothing more.
Okay, read. Who has version 6?
It
doesn't matter. When that's open version 6, you just say that this is.
So, those of you that are having 5, return 5.
Okay. I read now.
Were you ever depressed or down? Most of the day, nearly every day, for 2 weeks.
Now, is this the way, have you interviewed people? Is this the way you ask the person?
No, sir.
This is not the way you ask the person. So that's where the teaching lies, is using this. Probably this is the way an Englishman talks, or whatever. But it's not the way you talk in Hausa language, isn't it? Even the Yorubas, whom I lived with most of my life, you know, it's a very courteous language, isn't it? Is that not so? Yoruba is a very courteous language. You know, if they talk to you, say, yo, isn't it? And they speak a majestic plural. What I'm saying is that you have to apply, when you are doing your interpretation, in the way it is appropriate in the culture. Because you cannot talk to people who are sitting in front of you in a way that people don't talk to them. You say, this man, you are rude. Isn't that so? Yes. You want to talk, you have to make an interpretation to capture this meaning, but not to, these are rules for interpretation to another language. The idea is to capture the meaning. It is not to go for what? The what? The word for word thing. You have to capture the meaning within the culture, within the cultural meaning, within the cultural way of carrying that information. Because ordinarily without this person here, you don't talk to your patient that way. So it has to be the way you talk to your patient that you know they respond to you and they know you are respecting them. That's what I wanted to tell you. So what does that mean then? It means when you ask people questions, this thing contains 3 items. Were you ever depressed? The second one, most of the day, nearly every day. And the one is 2 weeks. So if the person says yes, what are they saying yes to? Is it that they were ever depressed? Or is it mostly, or is it that it's for 2 weeks? You're confusing the patient. That's why I say this thing is a lot of the guru. And what does it mean? Whether it's a CD or the other ones will ask these questions, break them up in that way. This will compress it, okay? But you shouldn't do that. So what you should do, let me just use their own time. Were you ever depressed? If it happened, did you find that it happened most of the day for a period of 2 weeks? Isn't it? Is that what most of the day, or was it some time of the day? Then they say, do you find that it happened for at least 2 weeks in the period? That's the way you ask questions. Now, this whole package goes on like that. All the items are like that. The sentences are compressed. You know how to get at that to go. Our questionnaire is a minuscule form of CD and code. That's why I say it's good. Okay? Okay. Have you got that point? Right. So if you got that point, that's the way every other questionnaire you're going to use, diagnostic. That's the way it is. Goes right. Then the next question is, how do you know that you have done well, you are doing well? Since you are students and you are not psychiatrists, you are not trusted to just take this and go into the community. You have to have training. And that's why we were talking about reliability, isn't it? We have to know that you are talking the way that somebody who's an expert who knows about it. What do we call that? You have to have inter-reliability. So you have to get a gold standard like Mohammed here, who knows about it. Habib Mohammed. So they have to teach you. You have to stay with them. And what are the rules in statistics? For me, it's not a here. In order to have reliability for the questionnaire like this, let's say it is inter-rater reliability. The statisticians, from wherever they got their paper, say that you must have that proper agreement with the gold standard, or that all of you who are using it must be rating to the gold standard, Mohammed, and you should have tested it with about 15 patients. This is the statistician. Don't ask me how they got it. Okay? So you can't say that you have achieved inter-rater reliability and you haven't gone around 15 patients. And what do? So your gold standard sits there and says, okay, read. So you read, and he is rating, and you are rating independently. And you do that for 15 patients. Okay? Have you got the point? This is training for inter-rater reliability. What of training for test reliability? How many persons, how many times? Because test means that this person has done it now, and they do it again in 1 week's time at normal temperature and pressure. And so, how many individuals will you get to do it for statisticians to be okay with you? No. 15 is for, okay, 50 is good, but the statistician don't have that. So you have 15 times 2, 30. But really, the more the merrier. If you get 50, 100, better. But for you to say you've done the what? Inter-rater reliability, you need to have tested with the individuals, at least 30 of them. You repeated it. But really, it's better you get 50, 100, the more you get. So that is the second point. Next point about reliability then is, and I'm teaching you something now, is it? How do you then assess this reliability statistically? What do you use? Do you know what statistics do you use to assess it? Any of them. Reliability is reliability. Do you know?
I'll do a correlation.
You dare not do a correlation. Why? Correlation means that you are going to use Pearson's. Are you going to do a correlation of man and woman? Are you going to do that?
No.
The way you should have started passing is, it depends on the structure of the questionnaire. Whether the answer you're going to get is continuous variable or dichotomous or non-continuous. So the way to assess statistical reliability depends on what? Whether the answer you're getting is what? Continuous or categorical. Let's go for continuous since you're talking about reliability. So you test now, you test again. Let's see, PHQ, it's continuous. So what are you going to use?
So I will need to put that score.
You dare not do that. You are not going to do any such stupid thing. I'm sorry to use the language. Because you cannot do that. You are not allowed to do any such thing. There is a name for it. What do we call it? Obeza, this is your period now, and your student says is going to use total score, and is going to total up scores to do reliability. This is not giving you a good name, Obeza.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know. And it's always a shame. Because I know Mohammed has talked to you about this. Since he's good at it. Obeza too has. Yes, tell me. Okay, all of them really become but Chromback transfer is when it is the questionnaire on this phone. The first, not inter-return, you just have the person continuous variable. What do you mean by Chromback transfer? What are you testing?
But I'm testing for the reliability.
Now, what type of reliability?
Internal
consistency. So, what do you mean by internal consistency? This is, if you know it from first principle, means if I have 9 items assessing depression, item 1 of depression or sadness must be related to loss of appetite. Isn't that so? If you are feeling depressed, you are likely to not have appetite and so on and so forth. Isn't it? So, how are the items internally consistent? That's the meaning of internal consistency as measured by Chromback's alpha. Now, what's the rule for that? Tell me. It's in SPSS now. You don't actually calculate it.
Yes.
You actually check the box and it gives you. What's the rule? The rule I told you in the morning, there must be at least 3 items. If it's less than 3 items, you cannot do Chromback. So if you are questionnaire, must be at least 3 items. But it's really difficult to become internally consistent when you have only 3 items. Because the statistics is a correlation, really, but taking care of chance events. So it is called what? Internal consistency by Chromback's alpha. And it stretches between what? 0 point something to 1. The higher the better. Now the rule says for you to be internally consistent, what must you score? What's the cutoff?
0.7.
It's good. Some people wrote and they say 0.6. So isn't that so? So if you get many of us here, I don't know about statistics, who are the examiners. So you write 0.6 for them. I say, yeah. But of course, if you meet someone like Mohammed, you fail very, very badly, isn't it? So sometimes you try to get, but it's bad to have an examiner who is working in knowledge, isn't it? Because you may then get something right and they marks you down. Okay, so 0.7, you must have 0.7 as cutoff. Good. So the questionnaire had to be subjected to that. Okay? Suppose now it's between me and you. I mean, between you and you over a period of 1 week. What do we call it? What do we call that internal consistency? We are seeing whether what you say now is consistent with what you say. Yeah. What do we call, what statistics do you use? You use what? What's ICC? What's the name? Intra-class correlation coefficient, ICC. The output is really Chromback's alpha, okay? But it gives you the 95% confidence interval. But the output to Meza and Mohammed is really the Chromback's alpha output, okay? But you take, it gives you the one, it gives you 95% confidence interval. Have you got that now?
Yes, I got it.
Yeah.
The question I have, because I
Don't worry, ask a question.
Yes, I
Sorry.
did a master's degree under supervision, and what I was asked to do then was to do test reliability for a screening instrument, SMFQ. So what we actually did was, we used the total score for the test, then we did a correlation with the...
It is wrong now, they don't know statistics. That's the problem. I don't know who's supervising, but it wasn't Mohammed, surely. Because if it's him, I'll quarrel with him now. He wasn't involved. This is wrong. Now, why is, even if we want to use Pearson's, which is wrong, why is it wrong to use Pearson's correlation? And you are not going to be calculating total scores. You allow the computer to do it, isn't it? Because if you are calculating on your own, you will soon remember that your son hasn't been brought back from school. And then you are going to miss one thing, isn't it? Whereas computer doesn't think about children. Okay. So what's wrong with using Pearson's correlation even if you want to? And that's not it. That's why they are doing more for validity. Because Pearson's correlation does not take chance agreements into consideration. Is that not so? Pearson's correlation does not take chance agreements into, yes, to do reliability or validity, whatever it is, they use what we call Kendall's law. It is a correlation. It's in SPSS, just check it. It is a correlation, but it takes chance correlations into consideration. So the answer is conservative. So Pearson's may give you that the R is 0.6. This one we say no, is 0.45. You see? Good. Okay. So this is for continuous variables. What of dichotomous variables? Say no. This person has depression. This person doesn't have depression. What statistics do you use for that reliability exercise? What do you call it? It's easy now. You mean you haven't done it? What is it? The statistics you do. Huh? No. This is dichotomous. That is, we call it Kappa statistics. Kappa statistics, which you get in SPSS. But you have to reduce it to a 2 by 2 table to do a Kappa. So we have assessed 15 people. Isn't it? I said yes, you said no. How many times do I say yes and you say yes? How many times do I say no and you say no? 15 times, taking chance in 2 countries. They call what? Kappa. Kappa what now? And it ranges from 0 to 1. By the time we agree that there is a good agreement, it must be ranging at least 0.4. So you have 0 to 2, which is, not important. 2.1 to about 3 is mild agreement. From 0.4 to 6 is moderate, and then very high agreement is more than that. You have to go and read up about criminal side. Okay, so I have finished about this person. Huh? Let me say another person. So you can use this. This is a bit. I don't have time to talk about it. I want to go to the science and science and go away from it. For you to use it, I want you to do biological studies, isn't it? This is one of my students from the university. So you have to draw the genetic tree. Sorry, if you know what to call it. The family tree. You have to know how to be able to do that. Okay? And it's here. And then this fix is simple. This what for this person, yeah, meaning. Now you have to ask screening questions whether they have this. And somebody just read it. You have to read it because you don't have time. For family tree, you draw first, and then you have the screening section before you have to go to the main section. Okay? So that's the piece for you. But the one that I think you should all know so that you can use them in many more studies are distribute. This is science, this is science. One that haven't you taught yourself students about science and sex? Mohammed, have you not taught your students about science and sex?
We've done it, not necessarily, but we did it separately.
I'm sure it is, but they are now denying you in their presence. Mohammed, don't hit them again. Huh? Look at your room. Now, I have many copies of this which I made for you. Why I want to distribute it, I'll show you the difference between an anchor and no anchor. Okay? So it's not because, okay, take this is sounds or sounds. These are sounds. Just introduce them. This is, I have many more copies. This is sounds, sounds, sounds. So I'll just say one or two things about them. This is DPRS, expanded version. Where is it? What is it? I'm looking for more sounds. Aha! I've got one without anchors, so you know the meaning of anchors. I still have sounds here. I still have sounds. So who has got sounds? Who has not got sounds? You don't have sounds. Okay, but you have sounds?
Yes.
You don't have sounds. This is the DPRS. These things are available free of charge. I want to show you what I mean by anchors. This is sounds without anchors. So far, I've given you sounds with anchors. There's some question here, but this is DPRS with anchors. For the common one, if you open DPRS on the internet, the first one you get, because I know it's without anchors. So you might be thinking that's the evidence. You have DPRS with anchors. This is something, see now the sounds you're looking at, see the one without anchors. Now, somebody did DPRS, sounds for us. Yeah, we'll just give an example with anchors. Yeah. No, start from the beginning. Okay, no. I just want to show you something. Now, this is a very big teacher in psychopathology. If you read this thing, oh, it's brilliant. You've known the various symptoms that constitute, positive and negative symptoms. It's brilliant, okay? But now go to where can I see that? See hallucinations. Okay, that's page 3. Can we go to page 3 of the slides? We just give that example. Can you go to page 3? Yeah, please, can you read for us? You can see one side of it, and then the other. Have you got that? What? There are sounds. Well, I have some on the table. Okay, let them read. You don't have to read to them, so we can do something. Please read for us. This is usually my child. I have the one on it. Okay, read for us. So it defines what you mean by hallucination. Isn't that so? Now go on. It now tells you when you say 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to those answers. I just want you to say when it says mild, it defines the meaning of mild for you. When it says moderate, please can you read mine?
Manual says that the subject hears noises of simple words and they occur only occasionally.
When you see, it tells you that moderate,
There's clear evidence of voices and they must occur at
at least
least weekly.
weekly, or you have severe before you go
There's clear evidence of voices.
Okay, so all this, if you know about this, you see, it teaches you to be experienced in rating these symptoms in clinical setting. I can't stay here a period of it. So it depends on you now to go home and read it all. These questionnaires are in two portions, the sounds and sounds. The first one gives you the items on their own and defines them. But at the end of each group of symptoms, it now gives you what we call a global rating. The global rating is very important to have an overall view. Can you go to the global rating?
Global rating of severity of the condition.
Yeah.
This should be based on the duration and spectrum of manifestation, the extent of the subject's preoccupation of the manifestation, the degree of conviction, and the effect of the action.
Okay, so if you get to know this, then you see you are more in tune with having clinical experience of how to rate severity, isn't it? Okay, that's all I can say. Now, the problem with us is that we're always thinking that psychosis ends with schizophrenia, isn't it? But psychosis has other things to do. For instance, there is mania and there is depression, isn't it? I'm not going to show this depression now because it's a very popular thing. What is not popular with doctors is bipolar disorder. Doctors are usually very ignorant about, is that not so, Mohammed?
Yes, sir.
Don't you find that our doctors have 3 items? If it's less than 3 items, you cannot do longer. So if you are questionnaire, but you have these 3 items. But it's really difficult to become internally consistent when you have only 3 items because the statistics is a correlation, really, but taking care of chance events. So it is called what? Internal consistency by contact alpha. And it stretches between what? 0 point something to 1. The higher the better. Now the rule says for you to be internally consistent, what must you score? What's the cutoff?
0.7.
It's good. Some people wrote and they say 0.6. So isn't that so? So if you get many of us here, I don't know about statistics, who are your examiners. So you write 0.6 for them. I say, yeah. But of course, if you meet someone like Mohammed, you fail very, very badly, isn't it? So sometimes you try to get, but it's bad to have an examiner who is working in knowledge, isn't it? Because you may then get something right and he marks you down. Okay, so 0.7, you want side 0.7 as cutoff. Good. So the questionnaire had to be subjected to that. Okay? Suppose now it's between me and you. I mean, between you and you over a period of 1 week. What do we call it? What do we call that internal consistency? We are seeing whether what you say now is consistent with what you say. Yeah. What do we call, what statistics do you use? You use what? What's ICC? What's the thing? Intra-class correlation with ICC. The output is really convex alpha. Okay? But it gives you the 95% confidence interval. But the output to Meza and Mohammed is really the convex alpha output. Okay? But you take, it gives you the one that gives you 95% confidence interval. Have you got that now?
Yes, I got it.
Yeah.
The question I have, because I...
Don't worry, ask a question.
Yes, I did a master's degree under supervision, and what I was asked to do then was to do test-ability for a screening instrument, SMFU. So what we actually did was, we used the total score for the test, then we did a correlation with the...
It is wrong now, they don't know statistics. That's the problem. I don't know who supervised you, but it wasn't Mohammed, surely. Because if he's here now, I'm calling with him now. He wasn't involved. This is wrong. Now, why is, even if if you want to use Pearson's, which is wrong, why is it wrong to use Pearson's correlation? And you are not going to be calculating total scores. You allow the computer to do it, isn't it? Because if you are calculating on your own, you soon remember that your son hasn't been brought back from school. And then you are going to miss one thing, isn't it? Whereas computer doesn't think about children. Okay. So what's wrong with using Pearson's correlation even if you want to? And that's not it. That's why they are doing more for validity. Because Pearson's correlation does not take chance agreements into consideration. Is that not so? Pearson's correlation does not take chance agreements into, yes, to do reliability or validity, whatever it is, there you use what you call Kendall's law. It is a correlation. It's an SPSS, just check it. It is a correlation, but it takes chance correlations into consideration. So the answer is conservative. So Pearson's may give you that the R is 0.6. This one will say no, is 0.45. See? Good. Okay. So this is for continuous variables. What of dichotomous variables? Say no. This person has depression. This person doesn't have depression. What statistics do you use for that reliability exercise? What do you call it? It's easy now. You mean you haven't done it? What is it? The statistics you do? Huh? No. This is dichotomous. That is, we call it Kappa statistics. Kappa statistics, which you get in SPSS. But you have to reduce it to a 2x2 table to do a Kappa. So we have assessed 15 people, isn't it? I said yes, you said no. How many times do I say yes and you say yes? How many times do I say no and you say no? 15 times, taking chance into control. We call what? Kappa. Kappa what now? And it ranges from 0 to 1. By the time we agree that there is a good agreement, it must be ranging at least 0.4. So you have 0 to 2, which is, not important. 2.1 to about 3 is mild agreement. From 0.4 to 6 is moderate, and then very high agreement is more than that. You have to go and read up about criminal side. Okay. So I have finished about this question. Huh? Let me say another question. So you can use this. This is a piece. I don't have time to talk about it. I want to go to the science and science and go away from it. For you to use it, I want you to do biological studies, isn't it? This is from one of my students from Navy. So you have to draw the genetic tree. Sorry, if you know what to call it. The family tree. You have to know how to be able to do that. Okay? And it's here. And then this fix is simple. This what for this person, they are many. Now you have to ask screening questions whether they have this. And somebody just read it. You have to read it because you don't have time. For family tree, you draw first, and then you have a screening section before you have to go to the main section. Okay? So that's the piece for you. But the